Hi everybody, Aaron Sampson here with Carolyn Pettit,
hey,
who has just come back from seeing Destiny competitive multiplayer as opposed to cooperative multiplayer.
Right.
And you were also in the alpha.
Yeah, I got to spend a little time in the alpha, so I've kind of seen both components of the game at this point. I guess if people want a sense of what the core gameplay in Destiny is like, I think Borderlands, thinking of it as a variation on Borderlands is kind of a good place to start, right? Because you have classes, you unlock powers, and you level up, and there's loot and gear and stuff that you find in the world. Having said that, of course, the tone of the game is very, very different from the Borderlands games. It's a very kind of serious, somber sci-fi game. And Bungie, who did all this work creating the lore for the Halo series, is obviously pouring an awful lot of energy into creating a rich lore for Destiny as well. How good that aspect of the game is going to be, it's hard to tell with these little bits and pieces, but as far as the gameplay itself, so when you're playing, single player or cooperatively with friends, you're in the world with other players, right? So you might see other players in the environment, and they're at least the one environment that's available in the alpha is this really kind of expansive environment, and you can zip around it on this vehicle that's like a speeder bike, which is kind of a lot of fun.
But it's not exactly like an open world game, like an MMO, right? Like
yeah,
you have a hub,
right?
And you launch your strike missions and your explorations from that hub.
Exactly. If people are envisioning this as one interconnected universe, it's not that. They are large but separate zones that you go to do missions and things. So the one area is like in Old Russia, it's called, and as you're in the world with other players, these public events happen. So this might be something like a giant, powerful spider tank gets kind of dropped into the environment. And you and any other players in the environment can work together to kind of take these things down to accomplish these tasks. And you're rewarded for participating in these. You get loot and experience points. Or if you just want to go about your own business and do your own thing, you can totally safely ignore those public events and just continue doing whatever you're doing.
Now, having mentioned Borderlands, the player counts on some of the strike missions, I think, are very similar to a Borderlands match, right?
So there are, in Destiny, there are these missions called strikes, which are designed, I think, specifically for 3 players. Like 3 is the maximum on those. There will also be end game raids, which are for 6 players, but I have not seen any of that. They haven't really shown that yet. They just kind of teased the concept when I went to see the game at Bungie recently. But yeah, so strike teams of 3, taking on these structured kind of story missions where you go through, and it builds up and there's a boss fight at the end, and these are the kind of like you might do runs in a game like Diablo or an MMO repeatedly to get certain gear. I think these raids are designed to be similar, where you might just kind of do them over and over again until you get that particular loot drop that you're looking for.
So in terms of the feel of Destiny, how Halo is it?
I mean, I'd say that it's not unlike Halo entirely. It has a similar kind of Bungie floatiness to it, I would say. But of course, the class powers do set it apart a little bit. I enjoyed, so during today's competitive multiplayer session, I enjoyed being the Warlock. So each class has supers that they can do, which charge up over time. They're on a cooldown timer, and they are these kind of devastating attacks. So catching other players off guard with that was a lot of fun. And also in the multiplayer match that I played today here at E3 on this Moonbase map, there were vehicles, which kind of changed things up a bit. There was one that was sort of like the speeder bikes, but heftier and armed, and I was able to kind of zap other players with that, players who were on foot, which was just a lot of fun.
Well, thanks so much, Carolyn, for stopping by and talking about Destiny.
Sure.
For more coverage of E3, including Destiny, stay tuned to GameSpot.com.